Okay, dude, let's get into it because we
So
can't
MotoGP, yeah. Let's get into
sit all
this.
night, man. Um,
Week 4
dude, you
feels
weren't
like
here,
week 6.
dude. You weren't here last week, Greg, when Carl and I were just trashing Alex Rins and saying what a crasher he was. Motherfucker dumped it on the first lap.
Dude,
Classic Alex.
Dude, did you guys see that news report when he was like, I think you mentioned this to me, Greg, where he's like, all my other rivals are doubting me. It's like, yeah, I wonder why, bro.
yep.
Bro, even now, like you were talking about it, how like Simon and them, they're talking about it now. It's just like
Well,
this is literally carbon copy of last season. You're just gonna
dude,
like crash out of everything.
he did horrible last race too.
Dude, well, I will say last season he had some bonehead crashes. He still came in third in the title. So he's not like a bum.
I still think that was because nobody really won.
Yeah, but why didn't anybody else get third? You know,
He's like 9th or 10th, I think, overall now.
Dude, well, we were saying it last week, dude. How comfortable Pecco looks on his bike, just fluid he is, and
that is true.
Dude, rode like it too. I was surprised Jack ran the race he did, but
Jack had a great race, but
it's still the same thing.
So did Francisco, man, that guy has been the most consistent though this entire year.
That's the thing. Like Jack run an incredible race, but Pecco still looks smoother. Like it takes less effort to do what he does.
Oh, I mean, really finished second and not by much either.
Yeah, give him another few laps, he might have caught Jack.
Yeah.
Well, he was coming on. No, he's coming on, and then in the last couple of laps, he wanted to see if he had something to catch Jack, and then he said he lost his front a couple of times, and so he had to back off and just accept second place.
Well, he was having to go through the pack, so I won't be surprised if he lost a lot of his tires moving up how he did.
Yeah,
so he should be happy with second. But Jack got his win in the dry, so.
Well, don't mention tires
about,
around.
He's not as smooth. I mean, Alex dumped it, so Jack didn't.
Well, yeah, exactly. And Fabio was a huge bummer.
Yeah.
I was glad Jack won, but go ahead, Greg.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I was glad Fabio won. I mean, I was glad Jack won because it's Jackie and he was hilarious in the press conference and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He was like trying to give like Franco Morbidelli was talking again about how he has a 2-year-old bike, and Jack's like, "Do you want a Ducati? I can hook it up." Just like saying goofy shit like that in the press conference, and he's like, he told one reporter. The reporter asked him, he's like, "Jack, a lot of people have been critical of you," and he said, "How do you deal with that?" He goes, I think the only reason you and I are friends are because I can't read Italian, so I don't know what you've been saying about me. So I was glad Jack won, but man, Fabio really deserved the win. You can't help it though.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Italian and speaking of tires, don't mention tires around Valentino. That guy bitches like every race about his back tire.
What Vale? More Vale issues. Like, can you just move on? Manage your new team. Like, I think it's over.
I'm surprised they're still letting him race. I mean, I know he's a legend, but
he was good last year.
Yeah, last year he did really well.
He didn't get any podiums, but he was consistently always finishing top 10, top 6s. He even got
using Q2 using Q2 all the time too.
Yeah, he got.
Now he's just like back of the pack every time.
Has he had a top 10 finish this year? I can't remember. I don't think so. Has he?
No,
he has been.
Has he even had a top 20? If people,
I think he had 17.
He had 17 last.
Well, that was because people crashed, right?
He crashed in one race too. Yeah, he crashed in 1 week.
I mean, it's still only the third race, but
what's the fourth?
Our fourth race, yeah. So it's still early, but it's really weird. I don't know why it'd be night and day like this over the course of the year to like suddenly age. like 30 years.
Yeah, they said there's still 16 rounds to go. So, well,
Yeah.
he's not going anywhere in the meantime, so might as well watch him. But, dude, he'll retire if he finishes the rest of the year like this, without a doubt. He looks terrible.
Well, he's talking about that other team that he's getting together, so he can manage that. That's fine.
I don't think that other team is going to have Yamaha bikes, though. I think they're going to have to use Ducatis.
Or does that mean there's going to be, 4 Ducati teams?
That's crazy.
Well, the way Pecco's riding, man, and Zarco looks good too. Everybody wants that Ducati. I mean, Zarco didn't have a super strong race, but they've all looked
he's still, in the running. He's finished good enough that he's not too far behind.
Well,
in the standings.
Vale said that he had a positive test. So I don't know if you know, Greg, they had a all-day test on Monday.
No, I did not know.
There's a few times during the season in which the entire grid will have a testing day. In the middle of the season, they can test new parts, do all this stuff, and you're not going to test a lot of new parts on a normal race weekend because you need to be working on race pace and your setup. But they had it all day Monday to test in Jerez. And Maverick, Rossi said he had made some progress. I don't know if I believe that. Probably not. Dude, Maverick ran 101 laps.
Holy crap.
Oof. Yeah, the dude just didn't come in all day.
Animal.
I know. He just had to I think he just had to figure out why he sucked last weekend, and Fabio didn't.
That's interesting because I wonder if that was what Marquez was talking about, because he mentioned that he had identified kind of like a weakness of the Honda bike that he'd been riding, and he was able to, I guess, better understand. He felt like something was kind of holding him back, and he was able to kind of better understand what was going on. I wonder if that's what he did on Monday, or if he was talking about this past race.
Dude, what he was holding him back was what you said earlier when we were texting. You're like, the guy looks like he's riding scared.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He definitely looks like he is. He's riding not to crash instead of riding to win, essentially.
And I don't blame him after that crash he had at FP2. Did you see that sucker?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's he crashed a couple. Yeah.
He looks like he's not taking corners. Yeah, he looks like he's not taking corners as aggressively as you watch some of his old videos. He's very aggressive on corners, and he looks like he is more than fine to ride a lot of these corners out, especially when they get congested.
Yeah, he used to just like chuck it in, right?
Yeah.
And okay, I might lose the front, the back might slide around on me, but I'm Mark. I'll just figure it out on the fly. But dude, that's kind of actually getting to some of the problems that HRC, Honda Racing, has. They're in the shit right now, man.
Bro, I was gonna.
There's something wrong with that bike.
That's what I was gonna bring up Taka, because he suddenly decided to switch to his bike last year, and suddenly he's putting it in where he finished. And he's like, everything's good, and then there like another couple of the other racers were testing different chassis, and apparently there's like 5 different chassis or like 6 different chassis in their garage. They don't know what's going on in Honda.
Dude, they're just throwing all these different combinations out there. Paul Espargaro bitched about it. He's like, everybody's running a different bike. This is a mess.
Well, he said there's no unity at Honda. Everybody's on different things.
He didn't mean like, I don't think he meant like buddy.
No, he's talking about the bikes. Like there's no cohesiveness through them.
Do you guys feel like that kind of happened too with Yamaha though? Because there were a few races, especially like Frankie, he was getting left in the shitter for like a couple of the first races on his Yamaha bike, and he complained about how. Oh, go ahead.
So Frankie had and we'll get into Frankie, dude. But he had a mechanical problem in his first race, and he's riding a 2-year-old bike where everybody else has the new bike.
So that was the difference, is the fact that he's the only one on an older bike.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't think they're having the problem. See, it's more than just for Honda. It's more than just the chassis. It's more than just the exhaust. It's even the basic. What all the riders are complaining about is they don't have front end feel. So when you're chucking it into when you're trying to get a 1-lap record or even just quick laps during the race, you need to be able to like get feedback from the front end of your bike to know Like, where's the limit? Because if you're slower than the limit, you'll get a bad lap time. If you're over the limit, you crash. And all the riders complaining that they don't have front end feel. And I think that's Mark's problem. Like, part of the reason Mark is riding scared is that he can't feel the front end like he used to.
Yeah, it isn't. So yeah, he's running scared, and it's understandable. But none of the other Hondas are exactly. Pole's not riding like he did last year. Even Taka wasn't until he switched to his old bike.
Who's the top Honda rider this year? Does anyone know?
Well, it should be Mark.
Yeah, I mean, Mark's the most talented, but I don't know who's got the most points. My guess would be Pole, maybe Taka now after that last result. But
yeah, Taka that he got that it's going to be close between the two.
I'm just curious if any of the Hondas are in the top 10. I don't think they are.
No. I think Taka had the highest finish of any Honda this last race.
I actually expected Pole at Spargo to start figuring out the bike sooner than now, but I expected a little bit more progress of him by race 4.
Think about Alex Marquez. Alex Marquez, the end of last season, he was racing incredible, and now he can't do anything. There's something.
Yeah. Mark's younger brother, Greg, at the end of last year, he really started to show that, like, he was on a race day, he was as good as Taka.
Wow.
Like, he was, and he's just crashed and been like, he's looked terrible.
Everyone in Honda is right now.
He's currently ranked 18th, and Pole is ranked 14th, and the closest, the highest one is Taki. Taki or Taka?
Yeah, because he got.
He's 11th. Yeah.
Well, I can never say Taka's full name. It's like Takiro Nakagami.
Taka Nakagami.
Yeah, but everyone just calls him Taka.
That's interesting. None of the Hondas are in the top 10. I mean, I'm sure it would be different if Mark was healthy, right? I'm sure we could at least pencil him in the top 10.
A little bit, but I also think there's really something wrong with that bike, to the point where people have been suspecting that on that Honda for a while, because they just look at it and say Mark's the only one that rides it well. Cal Crutchlow, who's the Yamaha test rider now, he raced for Honda for years, a British rider. He complained all the time about how he struggled on that Honda. I mean, he would turn in good results. He'd get on podiums. He had a couple race wins. He's not a bad racer, but he's like, I can't. What he would say is that we have access to Mark's data. So they're able to look at everything on a bike. As it's going around the track, they can see what lean angle it was over on, what percentage the throttle was open, how hard he braked, how late he braked. They can see how much rear wheel spin he had. They can see everything on the bike that happens in the data that it records. And other riders analyze that data and see where they can improve themselves if one rider's going faster. The thing was, they always had Mark Marquez's data. All the other Honda riders, they shared data. But Cal would look at that and they say, it's good that we can see his data, but none of us can do what he does. So it doesn't help. So meaning that bike was engineered in a way that pretty much only Mark can ride it.
Interesting.
So now HRC, the team boss at HRC is Alberto Puig. And I love his interviews that Simon gets with him, because he always sounds cranky. And he's like the Popovich, Greg, of freaking MotoGP. He's really smart. He's a good manager, but he's always cranky and he's always like not answering questions. And he even admitted, we have something to figure out here. Because Simon's been bugging him for years. Like, what's up with your bike, dude? Only Mark can ride it. And Alberto would be like, what? We're winning the title. Suck my dick, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with the bike.
Well, I mean, to be fair, last year, the Alex and Taka did good. But this year.
It might be the new Michelin.
It's Takaki Nakagami is the full name. That's why they call him
best
Taka.
you can. Dude, that's the best you can say it.
No, that's literally how you say it, bro.
I thought you were a Japanese speaker.
I can. That's literally how you say it. They say Taka because it's a vowel.
Simon says it better than you do, and he goes Taka-san.
Taka-san.
Simon always puts the san on the ends of all the Japanese guys' names. It's really funny.
Right. Like
That
I told
reminds me
you,
of
the
Karate
new
Kid.
Suzuki guy. Remember I told you that when he first was saying his name, I didn't know he was Japanese because he's pronouncing it so weird. I had to actually look at the name.
Oh, the homie with the clipboard. Yeah, the guy that's running the garage now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Honda, man. Taka's made a big step on it, but we'll see if everybody's copies. They've also been screwing with the height of the front end. So how much the bike is. Like, here's your clip-ons. Here's your steering, essentially, and then your forks that connect to your wheels. It's like, are the forks this high? So like the steering is way below the top of the forks, or is it this high? So it changes the height of the front of the bike. And they've just been screwing with it over and over again, trying to figure out why none of the riders can feel the front end.
I kind of wonder, are we going to see more races with like Taka and Pete, others riding with last year's bike?
Well, he has this year's bike. He just put on last year's chassis.
Yeah. But like changing that to like kind of the older versions, because are we going to see more of that this year?
Dude, I thought we might see that last year because Franco Morbidelli was riding the 2019 Honda Yamaha that he was riding was better than the 2020 last year. But they improved the 2021 this year, and now it's definitely better than Frankie's bike, and he's pissed.
Well, I mean, but if he was riding like how he was at the end of last season, this season he still would be doing better.
Dude, he did in this last race.
Place, though.
This last race he did.
I think he's like in the top 10 overall.
Well,
he still has a good shot to compete.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Dude, the important thing is looking at like
still.
Yeah, the important thing is to look at the progress. Is he had a couple of 2 horrible races. He wasn't bad in race 3, but last weekend he looked great.
He looked great in the practice too.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. He killed it. Yeah.
He had a complete weekend. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't just show up on Sunday and pull something out of his ass. He actually looked good the whole weekend and finished it off. So
I wouldn't be surprised if things continue. He will get a bike upgrade, and then they'll bring another guy to run the older.
Dude, they're gonna have
once Rossi leaves.
Well, they're gonna have to. Yeah, you know what they should do is he should just like walk into Rossi's garage and take his bike. It's like, sorry, yo, like you're gonna be in last whether you're on the new bike or the old bike. So how about I just take the new bike and maybe I'll win some races. Because so Frankie looked great, dude. And if he doesn't get better equipment, he's just gonna go to a different team. Even if he doesn't get the Yamaha, he can learn to ride another bike. So they better pony up. And I guess it's more Petronas's fault than Yamaha's. The owners of his team.
Yeah, I think Simon was talking to one of them about that, asking them about. He was talking to Petronas Yamaha about that, and it's just the difficulty of getting bikes, the expense that does that. They just can't give every single person the brand new machinery.
Yeah, them's the breaks, Franco. But again, like we said before, Carl, I think Franco's top 5 talent as far as just riders overall. So he's going to go, if Yamaha won't hook it up, he's going to go somewhere where he gets a brand new bike.
Truthfully, I think he could have a factory seat on another manufacturer. But he's not going to replace Maverick or he's going to stay on Petronas if he. So at least that's what I think. At this point, if it happened tomorrow,
if he has better results the rest of this year, if he has a better season than Maverick, they'll be thinking about
Maverick.
Yeah, they'll be Yamaha because Maverick's been a factory rider for a long time. He's never really been a title threat, and you're on a factory ride to win titles.
I kind of wonder if Maverick gets bumped, would he go to a different manufacturer?
Probably.
I would guess
he could probably get a factory ride somewhere else.
Yeah. He could even go, even going for a lower, a KTM, I bet you they would take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah, or KTM or Aprilia.
Oh, yeah, forget about them.
Hey, Aleix ran pretty well this
That
week.
new Aprilia is looking nice, actually.
Yeah, I'd love for Andrea, for Davi to come in and as a wild card. So I don't know if you noticed, Greg. Sometimes I don't even know the rules on wild cards, but sometimes they can have just an extra bike on the grid that week for whatever reason.
Mm.
I don't know the rules. So like Stefan was racing in place of Alex, wasn't he? Stefan Bradl. He was on an LRC Honda. But sometimes they just have extra riders in there for whatever reason.
He did
so
good. Stefan.
Andrea Dovizioso is one of the best riders over the last 10 years, probably just second to Mark as far as top riders of the last 10 years. He's been testing the Aprilia bike in his free time. So I'd love for him to come in and race one a weekend. He retired last year. Or rather, he stepped away for
temporarily retirement.
Yeah, he was mad at Ducati, so he left.
Understandable, of course.
Well, Jack seems to love Ducati.
He might not love them if he doesn't continue to win races. If he had the rest of the season like he did the first three, then he might not have loved Ducati after that.
Dude, if you guys are jonesing for some MotoGP stuff this weekend, watch the post-race press conference because Jack's pretty funny, but also everybody like piling on Frankie and asking him how it feels to ride an old-ass bike.
Yeah.
And Franco's just like, I don't know what you want me to say. The bike's old.
He was getting pretty pissed not this last race, but the races before that.
Yeah, he said some things.
Yeah, he was getting pretty pissed about it. He was doing his best to
well, he can't say too much.
He'll get in trouble. He was doing his best to complain without being too hard on Yamaha in fear of retaliation. Probably like they're going to remove him or something.
Yeah, you just can't be seen trashing your manufacturer because they take that personally. And that's why like Pole bitching about Honda is, I mean, it's true, so we can get away with it, but if you bitch too much, they'll be like, all right, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
We don't need you.
Paul, like last year, he seems like kind of a hothead, so I could see him getting in some trouble here and there.
Yeah, the Spargaro brothers are passionate, man. They'll get into it. That's why I like them. So, dude, so we'll see. Did you guys see that Fabio had surgery this week?
I didn't see that. I just heard that he had the arm pump.
I had heard that it was successful surgery too.
Yeah, so he essentially got his arm drained again. I don't know if you guys know how arm pump works.
Yeah, I do. I was reading about it after that.
It's a restriction in the blood in your forearm, essentially. So whenever you're working out a lot, obviously your muscles swell. And for whatever reason, the tissue that surrounds the muscles isn't allowing the muscle to swell for some of these guys. So they get this intense pain all in their forearm and they can't grip anything. So
That's crazy.
Fabio said he's usually a one-finger breaker. And by the end, he was having to use 3 or 4 fingers.
Oh, jeez.
To squeeze his brake. I think Mark's a 3-finger. It's just preference. Mark might be. But another problem is because often you'll develop arm pump because you might brake with your 3 fingers, but your pinky and your thumb are the only 2 fingers that are gripping the throttle. So you're trying to, like, you're gripping the brake, and then you're trying to release the brake and roll on the throttle at the same time. And at the speeds they're going, that creates a lot of strain all in here.
That explains why he finished kind of middle of the pack then last race.
Oh, dude, I couldn't believe he dropped like a stone.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
We were all questioning that, and then they were talking about it after the race in the interviews.
Yeah, because
when they found out what it was.
He's got to be top 3 or 4 for overall standings. He's had a killer year this year.
He would have won that easily without that.
Yeah,
he's had a killer year this year. He's been having great races.
Yeah, he looks so good. He has so much confidence. He's got a little bit of cockiness to him too, which I like.
Looking at him, I don't think we're going to see what we did last year where he dropped off. I think it's going to keep going.
Yeah, he kind of hit a wall last year, Greg, where he started off strong and then just finished like dog shit the second half of the year. But he looks like a different guy. We'll see if losing that race like that could hurt your psyche a lot. When you're dominating everybody, he got like 2 points. He should have had the first place.
Jeez.
And it was so weird watching him fall back live because everybody was like, okay, there's no way it's tires because you don't drop like that from tires. It's a mechanical problem or, in his case, a physical problem.
Mm-hmm.
Which sucks, but
yeah, I mean.
So, do either one of you guys have an opinion on the French GP on the track? Who you guys think might have more of an edge on it, or what you know from last year?
Think it'll rain?
There was a wet race at Le Mans last year, Greg, so it was pretty fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Alex Rins dumped it again when he was like in second place. Looked like he might win. He trashed it.
How does that track compare to some of the other tracks that we've already seen?
They say it's a good Ducati track. So meaning tight corners, start,
long straightaways. I
don't know if the straight's that long, but when you have tight corners that require the grunt to accelerate out of them quickly, Ducatis obviously do well there.
Oh, and the Yamahas should do well. They keep their corner speed very well.
I think Pecco's the favorite going in. Because
did Petrucci win it last year?
Yeah, Danilo won.
Yeah, because he's the one.
Well, just because he's a great wet weather racer.
Yeah.
No, I think what impressed me about Pecco was the last 2 weeks when he had 2 second places. Is like he got screwed out of pole position 2 races ago because of that yellow flag infringement, and then last week he just got second place. He got out raced. But like when he talks in his interviews, he's just super, like he's not even worried about it a little bit. Like you see it in some of these other guys when they don't quite get their race together. They're like, oh, well, we'll try and do better next time. He's just got this like confidence, like, oh, yeah, of course I'm going to do better last time. Of course I'm going to start winning races.
Well, this is what we've talked about. I mean, at least with like Maverick and such, that he doesn't quite have the psyche to be like a, repeated champion or something.
No, Maverick doesn't have the championship DNA, I don't think. But I think Pecco and Fabio are the favorites.
I think Pecco and Fabio do.
Why do they call him Pecco?
I don't know. I think it's just a nickname.
I don't speak Italian, so I don't know.
It took me a couple races to understand that he was the same guy as Francesco. I'm like,
dude, I can't even pronounce the last name, so I just call him Pecco.
I just call him Francesco, but
Banya. Well, yeah, that's fine.
Banyaya.
Banyaya.
Or is that how it's actually pronounced, or is that how the British pronounce it? Who knows?
Yeah,
I love Steve and Matt.
Dude, do you think they're putting forming the Brad Binder fan club on hold? They're like, okay, we gotta hold off on that. He crashed right after Alex Rins.
Maybe if he doesn't keep crashing, they might reform it again later.
Dude, it's too bad because I like Brad a lot. He's a good lad,
Brad,
right? But Steve and Matt talk him up so much, I start wanting him to lose. So just so they'll shut up,
bro. It's like they choose someone kind of from the like an underdog or from the back of the pack. Like last year, they were obsessed with Iker Lecuona. This year, they're obsessed with Brad. It's just like, all right, guys, that's.
Dude, I think Eco had long arm pump surgery too.
I just remember last year, it was just like every single race. Oh, Iker crashes again. And they just always brought it up. They're always so excited if he does well, and then he keeps crashing.
I'll defend him a little bit. Part of the reason they're rooting for Eco last year is because he was a rookie and crashing so much. They were like rooting for him because they're like, he's a good rider, but if he doesn't start finishing some races, he's going to get kicked out. And he needs to at least hang in there enough so he can develop. So you see that in all sports, like rookies come in and wash out just because they perform so badly, even though they actually have the talent to hang in there. So yeah, Brad crashed again.
I like Brad, but yeah.
Yeah, what else did
Still,
I?
like I think I mentioned it last year. Like all the hype around Brad comes from like his one win.
Well, he did have, but remember, they were right in that, like the whole like Sunday man thing, I find it irritating, but it's true to a certain extent because that guy would not do anything in practice or qualies, and then he'd come into the race and he'd have the same pace as the winner. But just because he started in the back, he couldn't come all the way through. So there was like.
He won in 2016. He won it all.
No. He last year, his rookie year, he won a race.
Oh, okay.
Which was pretty unexpected for to come in on a KTM bike that's never performed well. Yeah, last year was the first year the KTMs were actually any good. They were dog shit all the years before that. So yeah, and he came in and won a race, and Miguel Oliveira, also on a KTM, won 2 races. And Pol Espargaro, who was the best KTM rider, didn't win any. Just kind of happens, right?
That was one of those where the red was that the one where he's going to win? Where Rossi almost died? Was that his race he was going to win, and they had to reset?
I'm reading the history on it.
Pol was going to win, and then the red flag infraction.
I'm reading the history on it. And it looks like he replaced Johan Zarco. It looks like Zarco used to ride KTM and then got moved to Ducati.
Well, he didn't move, dude. He quit.
He quit KTM?
Dude, so Zarco used to race Yamaha, and he was an up and coming, like, oh, it's Jay-Z, he's back-to-back Moto2 winner, world champion. He's gonna dominate all that. And he had some pretty impressive races. He never got a win, but he was coming into his own, and then for whatever reason, he got a big offer to go be a factory rider at KTM instead of a Yamaha satellite. And he could not figure out that bike. He either crashed or finished way in the back. He looked horrible on that bike.
Dang.
And he started bitching and stuff. And midway through the season, he just quit. He's like, I'm done. And people thought that there was a chance. Like, dude, it's kind of like any racing. If you have a ride, or like any sport, if you just quit your team, unless you're super good, there's a good chance you get bounced out of the league, that nobody picks you up again, right? Like imagine like some first string player on a football team just like, I can't figure out this system, and just quit.
Yeah, no,
unless he's like a Pro Bowler, other teams are just gonna say, all right, screw you, dude. We're not gonna pick you up.
So then he went and joined KTM to kind of get back into it, and then
KTM was the one he bailed on.
Oh, KTM was the one he bailed on. Okay,
so
I thought he was with Yamaha when he bailed. Okay, he bailed.
No, he left Yamaha just because he got a good contract offer. He went to KTM as the new team, and that's where he couldn't perform. And then somehow, there were times they thought his career might just be over. Like
he's lucky he ended up with Ducati, though. That's pretty crazy because they're one of the top, maybe the top brand, and he ended up with them.
That's what happened. He essentially was sitting at home by the phone, and Ducati called him and was like, hey, come test ride our bike. Hey, do you want to like substitute for this guy this race? Run in as a wild card? And then he started performing really well at the Ducati.
Jeez.
And then he got a contract. His contract right now for the Ducati, he's essentially the number 3 Ducati rider after the factory guys and then him.
Last year he wasn't on Primac last year, was he?
No, but
he wasn't. He
was on Realia Ventia.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was on an older bike, and he was still like having some great results.
Still did pretty decent, yeah.
So now he's got the new spec, and yeah, I like him because he's got the biggest balls of anybody on the grid, I think.
Yeah,
he chucks it in. Yeah, and then if people complain, he just essentially calls them pussies. He's like, we're racing, not dancing. So, yeah, I don't know. How much more did you have? For me, it wasn't like actually that eventful.
I was
besides Jack being a good lad and winning, and also
I guess there was one thing I wanted to bring up when we're talking about Alex, also Juan Mir. I mean, Alex is almost looking at like exactly how he was last year, and Jawan isn't. I don't know. He looks like kind of how he was maybe in the middle of last year. Doing well, but not like winning. So again, is it like the strategy of survive and watch everyone else fall away? Then I'll be the winner again. He's just not like competing for the wins.
Well, that was never his strategy, but
No, but that's what happened. And so it looks like that Suzuki's almost looks the same as last year.
What I'm seeing from the Suzuki's is that their advantage in preserving tires hasn't better than the other bikes hasn't been there so far. So whether it's because the tires have changed or the weather is not as hot because we started in earlier in the year, but so last year, Greg, these Suzuki's that couldn't qualify, they'd have them qualify in 8th or 9th, 10th position.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come all the way through the pack because they kept tires better than everybody else. Problem now, and they've had some good runs from the back, both of those guys, but the problem now is they get to the front and then they don't have any tire left to fight because those other riders still have some tire left. Whereas last year they had none left. So unless those Suzuki riders figure out qualifying, none of them are going to be world title threats because the other riders are preserving their tires better.
And actually, as you said, with the tire change, because they did change, especially the hards, I wonder if that is a factor with Suzuki's. We talked about that, how it was with KTM and them needing to figure out. I wonder if that has affected Suzuki's as well.
I doubt it. I think just everybody else made progress. So we'll just see if Suzuki they just got to qualify better. Alex has shown he can do it. Even Johan has shown they can do it. They just need to, frankly, they got to start. I think they got to start crashing a few more times in qualifying just so they can find where the limit is. They're riding too safe.
You said in the interview Alex didn't have tire. Is that why he crashed?
I don't know. He crashed on the first lap. He fucked it up. He got put. He went wide. Tried to force it. I don't know. He had some excuse. I don't know what it was, but you crashed that early in the race. It's your fault. There wasn't heat in the tire. I think that's what it was. It was too early. He hadn't got enough heat in the tires to chuck it in like that on the side. So, whatever. Yeah, I didn't really have
that's
anything
about
else.
it. There wasn't a whole lot. Big things for me was actually, obviously Fabio and actually the Hondas. Those were the two big things for me this race.
Yeah, I agree. Jack made a step, but that's kind of what we expected from the Ducatis and the arm pump.
I have expected Jack to perform better, and so part of me was like, it's only a matter of time before he actually starts doing well. So,
well, the race he ran Saturday were the type of races he was consistently running at the end of last year. So whatever he needed to figure out on the new Ducati and also the new team, and also he got some arm pump surgery a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to have come together this week, so hopefully that goes on. But he's very, very good. So
I was happy to see Frankie do well.
He deserved it, man. He's been working his ass off.
I know.
No, he did fantastic.
It was cool to see. It was cool. I was getting excited because I saw that he had such a great practice run, and I thought, okay, hopefully he's going to be able to make this happen in the real race. And yeah, man, he did a great job. That was pretty cool to see.
I would hate to see the reason, and it might be if he starts doing very well, the reason he doesn't do better because he's on the old machinery.
Because he's what?
He's on the old machinery. That would be too.
Yeah.
That is what's limited him.
Well, I think he felt it did limit him this last weekend, that he should have been able to fight with, at least with Pecco, maybe with Jack. But he wasn't able. He did fight with Pecco a little bit, but Pecco got him. So he, I guess a couple other things. Maverick decided that a big reason he's not as quick as Fabio's, he's not as good on the brakes. He learned that from looking at the data. It's true. Fabio's a demon on the brakes.
Yeah.
Absolute demon. I'm so, the way he can't get – there's been several times when the Ducatis have tried to slipstream him on the straight, and they can't do it, not because they're not faster, but because he outbrakes them. he's able to somehow brake really late and get that bike stopped and make his turn, whereas other riders can't do that. So the Ducatis got him.
Isn't that wasn't that one of Davi's strengths as well?
Dude, every great rider is a maniac on the brakes. Valentino Rossi had a reputation for being one of the latest breakers and being so hard to pass because of that. Davi's great. Mark's great. Like every great rider is just awesome on the brakes.
So that
and
just
Fabio,
I've seen Fabio.
There's been a couple of times this year where like, holy shit, I thought for sure he was getting passed and he just somebody.
Like if Mark doesn't like come back into his own, and even because Fabio's younger, like Fabio could be just the next like dynasty post Mark.
I mean, yeah, this betting man is going to put it on Fabio or Pecco.
I'm really curious.
That's where mine is.
I'm really curious to see also in this next race if Mark finishes again between like 10 to 15 or 8 to 12 in that range. I think it's fair to say he's going to have a pretty rough go at it as far as getting it. I think like mentally, I think it's more a mental thing right now than it is a physical thing.
Oh, dude, he's so scared of his body getting hurt again.
Yeah.
I agree, but I also think that if we see it start, I think the bigger indication for me is if we start seeing the other Hondas perform and he's not. Because no Honda is performing that well.
That's a good
point.
So
combined,
if those started
Mark does combined with what the other Hondas do.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even really think that, but that makes a lot of sense.
So if Taka turns in another top 5 in Le Mans and everybody else sucks, or maybe Pole makes a step and Mark's still lagging, you're going to be like, what's wrong? Mark's got some mental blocks here.
You need to see a sports psychologist.
Yeah, dude. He's got the yips.
He's got to get with Phil Jackson, Zen Master.
But yeah, I didn't have anything else. So
no, that was it for me.
We can call it, man. I enjoyed it. This was fun.
That was a lot of
Hopefully
fun.
we to do it earlier in the week, but Greg's job. My schedule won't always be as crazy.
Sounds good, guys. That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
All right, man. We'll talk soon.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh, hey. For you.
Let me stop. Hold up. Let me stop streaming. Bye-bye.